Hey there everyone, it's time for another round of questions again, and first of all I'd like to really thank you all for sending in those questions. Now let's dive right in with Questiosn I, who just asked, where is the new Q&A video from the HalfActiveGamer? Did you catch a cold or something? No cold, luckily, not yet at least. But it remains a very valid question, and I am sorry it took me so long. I've had some computer problems and I reformatted, and afterwards my editing software kept on crashing on my intro for the review I was working on, and I wanted to initially put that out first. Turns out I used some weird codec and I just needed to install that again. Now it works again, but wow, was it frustrating to find out what was wrong. So here's the Q&A now first, on my birthday no less, and I'll have the review out tomorrow, I promise. Another good question regarding these Q&As themselves came as a message from AlphaSys. In your previous Q&A videos you mentioned other questions, yet you asked for even more. What are the questions you don't want to answer? Well, I just can't find them anymore, to be honest. Luckily there were only like 3 or so more questions in the file, but I am really sorry for those who have questions that remain unanswered now. I've got it organized a lot better now on a separate hard drive to avoid such stupidities in the future. Are there any questions I don't want to answer in general? Well, maybe. I've been fine so far. I've not ran across any I'm not comfortable answering yet. I think it'd be kinda weak too if I were to filter out what I do and do not answer after asking for questions. Okay, on to Mark Vergeer, who sent in a whole bunch of questions. For the first one, would you ever consider becoming or being a vegetarian? Well, no. However, I do generally enjoy something that closely resembles even a vegan diet. It's just what I generally feel best with and most fit. I'm a bit of a nutrition nut and followed a course on it. However, I do feel that theories on what's best for you only go so far. Your body is your best indicator on that, I think. So I just listen to my body and use some common sense, and if I feel like eating some meat, then I will. But I desire it less and less in the last couple of years, to be honest. 2. Where do you get your retro gaming fix in the Netherlands? Mainly from the internet, from either eBay or Marktplaats. Sometimes I also go to retro conventions, but they don't happen too often and are usually way too far for my liking. There used to be a retro store in Rotterdam, but they closed shop in 2006. Currently I know of no other real retro store around here, and those few shops that have second-hand games ask insane prices for them, so I just keep it to the internet mostly. 3. Do you build your own computers? I should technically know how to do it. I did go to school to learn that kind of stuff after all. But I just don't feel comfortable messing with some parts like the processor. I do always compile a list of parts I want, and then I just pay a bit extra to have a shop assemble it. 4. Windows, Linux or OS X? I like to play games on my PC, so Windows would be the best choice for that. If I wouldn't play as much games, I'd probably go for Linux. Macs look nice, but I just find them way too expensive. 5. XP, Vista or Windows 7? Since I have more than 4GB of RAM, I wanted a 64-bit OS, and XP's version just sucked. Not sure if it still does, but back then it was pure crap. So I went with Vista and actually had very few problems with it myself. I might get Windows 7 though, it looks pretty nice. 6. AMD or Intel? I used to be a real AMD fan, but lately it doesn't really matter to me which one. 7. Nvidia or ATI? I've had 2 ATI cards die on me, so for that I'll just stick with Nvidia where I can. I know it's a weak argument, but I've never had any trouble with their cards, and that's what counts for me. 8. Would you ever consider trying that banana cheese sandwich snesstastic showed us? I'm usually up for trying new things, but that combination of bread, butter, cheese and banana just doesn't sound too appealing to me. Bananas are to be eaten just as is in my opinion, well, without the skin of course. Some questions now from Jesus Faces. By the way, if you haven't checked out his channel, then please do. He makes awesome drawings of people on YouTube. Anyway, his first question. What's the most disturbing movie you've ever seen? Well, I don't really know, but one that does jump to the foreground just now is A Clockwork Orange. The movie is just disturbing, depressing and uncomfortable at the same time, so it's definitely a classic and a work of art. 2. What's the nicest movie you've ever seen? I'm assuming you mean most cutesy movie here? Well, I think I have to go with Bambi for that one. It's also a work of art, but for other reasons obviously. Next we have the Gaming Goose with his question: what do you really think about the state of the reviewers on YouTube and the net in general as of late? Wow, talk about a big question. Let's see here. Well, I think that more and more people are jumping on the bandwagon of reviewing, and that in itself is fine. What often happens, however, is that people either start imitating or cover little new ground. There are just so many people reviewing now that it also gets impossible to keep up with all of them. Worse is that half of them have the same retro games covered. I know what Super Mario Bros. 3 looks like now, guys. Also, there are the modern reviewers who are sprouting up like crazy lately too. Heck, even I get to review modern games now. Publishers really like the idea of gamers telling other gamers to buy games, I guess. It's great that you hear more opinions from real gamers. However, I do often find that they are holding back out of fear of not receiving any more games from their company in the future. I can kind of understand that, but come on, if you review new games that people need to shell out a lot of money for, then please be professional about it and keep it objective on all aspects, and don't just read off the fact sheets from the press kits. In general though, I think it's great that there are so many reviewers. There's something for everyone out there, and it's pretty easy for newcomers to still start up. My advice for those is to just bring your own style to the table. Imitating the success of others will almost always cost you believability. On a side note now though, I do think there's been way too little goosage lately. Next up we have a couple of questions from GuttaGuy720. 1. What's your favorite this gen console and game? Well, I think all three main consoles have something good to offer. I have a Wii and a 360, and when alone I definitely prefer the 360. However, when it's party time, the Wii is always there. I'm also getting more and more drawn to the PS3 lately, with some titles that I'd really like to try out. I might actually just go out and buy one tomorrow. Would be a nice present to myself, don't you think? As for favorite game from this generation, well, it could change at any time with me, but for now, two that come to mind are Super Mario Galaxy and Mass Effect. I enjoyed both of those quite a bit. 2. What do you do for a living? Well, the shortest answer here would be nothing. I have a disability allowance, and I am very lucky that such a thing exists, and it gives me a lot of freedom to do what I want. I just don't feel like looking for a job anymore. I did have one previously, but I had to let go of it because I had to wait 2 years for a transplant. Now I'm done searching, it's just too demotivating. I rather study for now, and besides that I work as a volunteer to still give something back to society. So in the end, I've got some money, I've got something to do and people around me, that all adds up to a happy sap. 3. If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? I don't know, but it better have some nuts. And now some questions from Exile 2708. 1. What is your favorite Mega Drive game? My tastes tend to shift now and then, and the console has so many great classics that it's really hard to pinpoint one absolute favorite. One that I've always enjoyed and played a ton of is Streets of Rage 2, so I'm going to say that one for now, I guess. Also, A Story of 4 is really an underrated game that deserves a mention too. 2. If you could be a cartoon character for a day, who would you choose and why? Top Cat. Just imagine how much fun it would be being a smartass all day and annoy and confuse the hell out of everyone. That'd be awesome! 3. What are your favorite pizza toppings? When I eat pizza, I like to change it up. One thing I never ever want on it though are mushrooms. Those things are just gross. That usually limits my choices a bit, since without the mushrooms usually doesn't register too well when ordering out. Let's finish it off today with a question from Swag Show. Do these pants make my butt look big? Pants are never the problem, man, so you're fine. Now if your ass makes those pants look tight, then oh boy do you have a problem. Well, that's all we could fit in this video. I'll put out the rest in the weekend, I hope, but first I'm going to finish up on that review and put that up tomorrow. Thank you all very much for watching again, and I hope you enjoyed it. Take care and see you soon.